Hey guys, welcome back to your daily dose of Battlefield, or almost a daily dose, because today we got another blog post with the first official information about the class system for Battlefield 6. And this is called the class system part 1, so I'm guessing there will be a part 2, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week or in 2 weeks. I don't know how they're planning to do this. But for now, it's basically around the basics of the class system, and we're gonna have a look into this. So first of all, in the article, they're talking a bit about how the class systems have evolved throughout the history of the Battlefield franchise, and that the goal within Battlefield Labs is to test and refine the best aspects of the class system from the history of Battlefield, and then to evolve them into a cohesive vision for the future of the franchise, for the future of Battlefield. And they basically begin testing the class-defining systems now in Battlefield Labs and want feedback from the players, from the testers, but also from the people reading this blog right here, and also from you guys watching this video. So be sure to write your comments down below. And then it goes into the philosophy for the classes, and here we basically have this system. So we have the class system, and then it splits up into a customizable part and into a class defining part. So how they define these two parts, customizable and class defining, is that the customizable components empower you to explore and push the boundaries of the class roles, but within the classes, and that the class defining components are designed to enhance pick up and go playability and to reinforce the expectations of your class identity. So it's easy to pick up, but hard to master properly. And now we have the explanations for customizable and for class defining, and this is very interesting. So first of all, we have the weapon loadouts, which means, of course, fully customizable weapon loadouts allow you the freedom to play the way you want to, like we've seen in the leaks already, and play to the strengths of your class by using your signature weapons or easily switch to any other weapon to meet the needs of your squad. And I think that this part is specifically interesting and important because this basically confirms that what we've seen in the leaks, that there is an open weapon system so that every class can pick any weapon. That wasn't just for testing apparently, but it's basically confirmed that this is a part of the game. So they take the 2042 system with them into the new game. I'm a bit on the fence with this one, to be honest, because I think that you can only actually have a class system if you have weapons locked to the classes. But I talked about this before because I think that this is really important for the readability of the battlefield and also for the readability of gunfights, because it further defines the classes and their identity and their role on the battlefield. But the open weapon system has its advantages as well, because I also like to play as a recon, for example, in 2042 and still be able to select an SMG so I can get into close quarters combat. And I wouldn't really want to be forced to pick a sniper, for example. So it shouldn't be a completely locked system, but I actually liked the kind of semi-open system of Battlefield 4, where some weapons were open to all classes and some were locked to the specific classes. Then we have class gadgets, so that's what we know from Battlefield 2042 already. So you will have the option to carry 2 gadgets onto the battlefield, tailored to each class and its specific role. And as an example, we have the Recon class here that specializes in intelligence and counterintelligence, and the class gadgets include deploy beacons, anti-personnel mines, and laser designators. And then we have training, which says our philosophy with training is to offer a series of traits that can be unlocked during play to enhance your ability to perform your role. So training is the field specializations that we had talked about before when I had talked about the leaks that we had to the class system. And as you engage more in a match, you'll gradually earn flat stat bonuses and more to support the effectiveness of your role further. So they're not really specific on this. I hope that in a future post they will be more specific on this, and they will actually show what kind of field specs each class has, because this was really something that did not sit so well, at least that's what I take from the comments below the video that I did back then, that there were active field specs like the call in of an artillery, for example, or kind of like a spotting ability or something. At least that's what it sounded like, but we don't know. This all is work in progress. That's what they're writing, so we don't know how much of this will still change, and maybe this is why they're not very specific about this, because they're probably waiting for more feedback from players, maybe during this 72-hour playtest that is coming this weekend, to make some changes or tweaks to this class system if necessary. And then we have throwables, of course, and the approach to throwables is to prioritize enabling each class to effectively fulfill its role by providing tailored throwables. And I've also went over those. So we have frag grenades, we have incendiary grenades and smoke grenades, and basically whatever we had in former titles and what we have in 2042 as well seems to come back to the new Battlefield. And then we have the class defining part, and this is also really interesting, and part of this was also leaked already. So here we have a signature weapon, which means each class has a signature weapon category tied to their class identity, which when used enhances their role on the battlefield. For example, using our same ongoing test subject, the recon class, if you select a weapon from the sniper rifle category, you will benefit from increased breath holding duration. In contrast, an assault player choosing from the same category will not receive this bonus. DMRs, carbines and shotguns remain viable options no matter the class you play, but they don't benefit from any signature weapon bonus. So this is how they try to bring in the incentive to play a certain category with a certain class, and this is basically the same system that we have on Battlefield 2042 as well. Now, how did this turn out in Battlefield 2042? To be honest, I don't care about these weapon bonuses. If I want to play a sniper rifle as a recon, I play it because it just fits my current mood, or that's what I want to play, or that's what works best in the situation during the match. But I don't play the sniper rifle as a recon because of this bonus. If I want to switch to an AR or an SMG, I do this even though I don't have the bonus. I'm not losing any sleep over these bonuses, to be honest, and it's not really an incentive to pick the sniper rifle as a recon or the assault rifle as an assault class. So it's nice that they're trying this, but we've seen in Battlefield 2042 that it actually does not have any effect. At least that's what I'm seeing on the battlefield, and that's how I play, and I'm sure that a lot of you do this as well. Then we move on, we have the signature trait, which says each class features a unique signature trait, providing passive bonuses tailored to optimize your role on the battlefield. For example, the recon player again automatically spots enemies while aiming down sights, encouraging the use of weapons that complement this specialization. And I'm a bit on the fence with this one. When I read it before I done this video, I was like, okay, wow, this is quite a lot. Automatically spotting when you aim down sights. So if you have 32 players playing as a recon, the whole enemy team is permanently spotted. But taking this and adding all of the spotting gadgets that we've seen already, like the Tox, for example, or the recon drone. And then we also have different field specializations that help with spotting that are similar to the abilities that our specialists have right now in Battlefield 2042. And what I've also seen on a leak that someone has pointed out on Twitter is that every spotted enemy not only shows up with a red dot above their head, and they not only show up as red dots on the minimap, but they also show up as red dots on the compass that is on top of the screen. So when someone is spotted, you just have to look at the compass and turn into their direction. So even though you can't see them, you know where they are. And then having this ability, automatically spotting enemies while aiming on sights, this might mean that doing flanks and being sneaky might become impossible again. And I'm not quite sure I'm really a fan of all of these massive spotting gadgets and hand holding and everything. Now, for the signature gadget, these gadgets are unique and singular to each class, with an aim for you to always have access to a tool that fulfills the role of the class, separate from what you may choose as gadgets within your loadout. So the signature gadget is what we have as a class gadget in Battlefield 2042 now. So for example, the Recon in 2042 has the deploy beacon as a class gadget, and these gadgets are now called signature gadgets. And in addition to this signature gadget, which is always equipped, you have 2 class gadgets that you can pick from a pool of gadgets. Okay, now that's quite a lot of gadgets right there. And then we have default weapon packages, and this means the default weapon package is a preset combination of attachments and visual customization for each class to be combat ready, with the option to further progression and personalization. So it's probably kind of like the default weapon loadouts that you have in Call of Duty before you reach level 4, and then you can do your own. It's alright. I like to use them as well, especially when you're new to the game, so you don't have to worry about how to customize your weapon and which attachment is the best one, and then maybe you haven't unlocked it yet. And instead you can just pick one of those preset combinations and jump right into the game with a weapon that is probably not too bad. So that's actually a good addition. I really like to see this. And then we have what's next. So the class system and its individual components will be available for testing within Battlefield Labs in the coming weeks, and following further play sessions we'll be back with another community update to unpack class components in more detail and share learnings based on participants' feedback. So overall, what I'm seeing from the class system right here is that they're trying to go kind of like a middle way between what we had in Battlefield 2042 and what we had in former titles. So classes are back, but with these specializations, of which some sound like the abilities from 2042. Plus we have an open weapon system, and we have a lot of spotting apparently, and we have quite a lot of gadgets that we can equip. But keep in mind that this is all work in progress, and we don't know what will change from this. This is tested in labs right now, so if you got access, be sure to give feedback as good as you can and give all the feedback that you want to. And yeah, we will see how this will evolve and how it will play at the end and how it will affect our experience in the next Battlefield game. But let me know what you think about this in comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.